Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Tire, and such a pleasure to be here this morning on the show with you today. I'm streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and the entire world. You know how we do it on the show. It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show, and today we are not going to be having an exception. We're going to be having a great time on the show today. We'll be talking about something I believe that we all will find interesting and engaging, you know, on the show. So please do make up time to join us today on the show as we have a great time together. Remember, on the show, our goal is to learn together, share together, and ultimately grow together. And I feel that honestly, a very important thing for us to understand is the dynamics about things that are going on within and around the world of education. And some thoughts that I'd like to share will be centered around that. And I believe that by the time we actually take things into perspective, we begin to see how things outplay and actually make a difference both for the individual and the general collective. And I believe that that is also something that can create a win-win situation and scenario, for all concerned. I basically would say that from the headlines, you can easily identify some of the things that are predominantly issues, as the case may be. Um, let's take, for example, some headlines that exist today. We have um, we have what they call it now. We have headlines around the issue around um, Cambridge University, which is actually something that will probably catch some of us fancy and attention. Um, we talking about the Cambridge news saying that the university could return much more than 100 looted artifacts from Nigeria. Uh, Nigerian government is developing the dual museum along with storage and study facility for returned artifacts. Um, Cambridge and Oxford universities could be said to return more than 200 artifacts which were looted by the British colonial forces in 1897. Nigeria this year requested repatriation for the cultural items that were taken, and the 213 objects may be returned to Benin. The 213 objects, including many bronzes and some ivory and wooden sculpture, were taken from Benin City by British troops in 1897 in response to a violent trade dispute the previous month. During the attack, the British forces burned the city palace and exiled Benin Oba and King. Several thousand brasses and artifacts collectively known as Benin bronzes were taken by the British and sold off in London to recoup cost of the military invasion or military mission. Now you can look at this and ask yourself, what could this be? Or what could this be? Well, there are different dynamics to the story, right? But I believe that it's important that we also appreciate that this in itself is happening. Um, so there are other headline news that I think that we should also look at that might also catch our interest this morning or the Good Board Education Show. So we have another headline. This one is talking about the candidate sitting for NECO from the registrar. It is said that we have 1.2, that's 1,209,000 candidates sitting for NECO. That's quite a huge number, if I may say. And then we also have comments from the strike and industrial action by the university, ASU. Um, it says that Kaduna students and parents lament, you know, students and parents in Kaduna, they are lamenting for the extension, the strike extension by 4 weeks, another 4 weeks. You know, this is quite sad, but one can only imagine how these parents feel. A lot of permutation and projections about their children's academic pursuit in terms of academic timelines. A lot of these things have been disrupted and distorted, and a lot of people are not happy. And of course, the dynamics of also trying to get people to find something meaningful to do while sitting at home is also there, coupled with the security tension in some areas. ASU officially has extended the industrial action, you know, because the 3 months initial extension has elapsed. So, well, these are things that normally do happen, and it's quite sad, but we hope that we'll experience solution in the shortest possible time. Now we're going to be going straight to the heat of the matter. I'm going to be having a conversation of the day. And today we decided to look at a topic that um, needs to actually be the mainstream conversation for everyone out there. I honestly do believe that, there's certain kind of conversations that should be front burner, that should not be put to the backside. I believe that as many times that we might have conversations around academic pursuit, professionalism, conversations around getting empowered, getting a job, this also should find its rightful place. And today we'll be talking about, something I see as quite instructive and also engaging. Build a future, not just a career. And this is like almost a counsel to everyone who is in pursuit or who is studying and who is probably engaged in an organization of some sort. That the goal should be to build a future for your life, build a future for yourself. Don't just build a career. When you look at a career, for the benefit of the general audience, I would not want to sound too technical. Career can actually be seen as a progressive path, on the line of a job or profession. Career could be the upward path, you know, that that is available and is obtainable in the pursuit of a particular field of profession or study. So you can have an HR career that's the extensive progressive path or upward path within the world of human resource. You can have a leadership career that could be a progressive path, an upward path that you can have in the place of your leadership experience or your leadership journey. You could have a teaching career that is also the path of progression or the path upward that takes you through the echelon or the levels also within the teaching profession. You know, so there's so many things that a career actually represents. We normally do advise that people should not focus on just having a job, or that people should focus on having a career, because sometimes jobs are limiting. And if you are not careful, when you get to the pinnacle, the peak of a job, you will not know that there is need for transition, because probably you have limited understanding and knowledge about the career available within that profession, or you've not created or chosen a career out of the job, or you do not understand what we call the career path. So a lot of people are familiar with the career levels. They are also familiar with career path. And the career level is a bit of a constriction, because when you say career level, we're talking about how the kind of position or the growth path within your organization. On that's most times positional. But when you're talking about the career path, then that's not just positional, it's directional, it's situational. It takes you through the dynamics and the world of the career or the profession. So when you look at a teaching job, you know, there is a career level where you look at it as how can a teacher rise within the organization is employed, or how can a person rise in the organization is employed, But when we now talk about a career path, it's a totally different ballgame. Derisola, good morning. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, I think the mic is muted.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
So we're talking today about build a future, not just a career. So I was trying to kind of put up an introduction to the conversation we're having. But it's good that you're here. So let me just direct the question to you. What is it to build a career? What is it to build a future? Why should we focus on building the future, not just a career? Over to you.
Well, I say career and your future, they may not actually be the same thing. And I'll use myself as a perfect example. Maybe my career is like, my career is in the academics. I'm an academic, right? And I'm building a career in the academics. But is that my future? Probably no. Because future is about purpose. It is not just about a job. And by the way, your job or your career could be your purpose, and everything. So I would like you to understand that when you're saying building your future, it is more like asking yourself, when I am 70, or if you are writing a letter to your 70-year-old self, what will be contained in that letter? If you can probably sit to think about it, like my 70-year-old self, if they had to write something about my autobiography, what should it be? That is when you know whether whatever it is you are doing now is you are building your future. Because if whatever it is they want to write about you is not what will sit with you, or what you would like to hear back about them reading about you, then most likely you're not building a future yet. And the thing is, you may actually even start late. You may start late. For instance, someone like my side I Train Africa like 2 years ago, 2020, right? You may start late, but I always say, like, there is no time that you start that you can't actually build a future. People like Betty Rabot that started building at 46 and everything like that. If she had probably said, I'm almost 50 and I'm not going to, build a future in what I want to be remembered for, she'll probably still be there and time will be passing. I always say, like, if you say I'm already old, whichever way, you will still live anyway. So if you're not building that future that you really, really are going to be happy with, and it's not about inside, it's not about size, it's about the quality. It's not about size, like, I built the biggest bank in the world. It's not, no, it's about like the quality of what you are building. And even if it is just one human being, I feel that is what you are, when you are living for a purpose and you are building a future. And which is why I said may also be your career. It doesn't really matter. Because some people are building a career in the academics, just maybe like I am doing, but their life purpose is probably to discover something, to solve a specific problem. So I would say the key to building the future is asking yourself, whatever it is I'm building, is it going to be solving a problem? I emphasize this a lot, probably because I've gone through the design thinking process, I've taught it and everything. I say, if your starting point, it's not about solving a problem, then most likely you're not building a future. Because whatever it is you do in life, the most satisfying feeling you can ever get is when you solve a problem for someone. It's amazing.
Fantastic. I always like the perspective Ade Salah brings to topics, especially when she started out, she said, look, building a career is not the same thing as building a future. And, what I deduce from that is career can be expansive, but the future is actually extensive. And while you were speaking, Light joined us, and of course, we have our special safety chick, Ugochi Obidegu. She's joining us all the way from the United States of America. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Utimi. Good morning, Derek. Good morning, Light. Please confirm you can hear me today.
Yeah, good
Praise
morning.
the
We can hear you
Lord.
today, Gucci.
Thank God, though, because every
Good
time I
morning.
come, they
Yeah, we
can't
can
hear
hear you.
me.
I'm sure you were too fast for the program.
As in,
Fantastic. So we're talking about a very interesting conversation. It says build a future, not just a career. And Adesola has just, she's lighted the fire. She's just put it out there. And let me bring it to you, Gochi. What would you want to add to that? Because the focus today is not just career. I know that a lot of people have heard, pursue a career, don't just pursue a job. But now the demands of the day, and when we start looking at things, we need to also start telling people that, what, it's high time we build a future as well. We'll go to, let's hear from you.
okay, the first set of thoughts coming to me is the fact that many people, the job that they are doing currently today, may not be what they're going to be doing in the future, because the world is really changing fast. And if we do not have skills of the future, or if we do not have the ability to move from one career to another, we are going to get stuck. And so um, it's important that whatever we are doing today, we do it excellently. We also see that it is stuff that can be transferable to any other sector or any other place, depending on in preparation for the future, because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. If nothing else, the pandemic should have given everybody that wake up call that nothing is permanent, things can change, and you never really know what can happen. We've had many surprises since the pandemic. So the pandemic happened, people didn't really think it would happen, but it happened. Then the issue between Ukraine and Russia also, people also didn't really, well, maybe they saw signs, they thought, yeah, maybe, but they didn't really think it would happen for real, but it happened. And so that means many more things like that could spring up and happen in future. And so if you are just one track focused in your own career, and you are not seeing how whatever it is that you are committing your time to doing today, or you are spending your money on, if you are not looking to see how it is stuff that is enduring, it is stuff that can be transferable later in future, you can put yourself in the wrong place or in the wrong position. And so my own opinion that now is that we should focus on building the things that are going to be important in future, as opposed to just one aspect of life. This even made me think about myself. Very recently, I was having the conversation that I'm not even sure the exact the exact position I'm going to be working in, you know, in a few years. And I could see how there has been a transition in my own life, from aviation to safety, and even in the safety now, I'm in that transition phase again, moving, into so we've all really got to think future and not just career. Otherwise, people are going to find themselves um I don't want to use the word irrelevant, but they'll find themselves displaced in the future that is coming. So those are my initial thoughts.
Thank you very much. You know, and the fear sometimes might be that people feel that should we be taking on too much? Should we not just stick on one line and all that? But uh, research and reality has shown that we cannot limit ourselves to just one thing or one line. We must be versatile. The access to information is also so vast, and we cannot afford to be limited in our thinking or disposition. And I'm taking the question to light as an educator, as a professional. Um, what would you share as tips to start building a future, not just a career? Practical tips. Light, over to you.
Okay, so as an educator, one way to build a future, not just a career, is by ensuring that, for example, we have trends in the education sector. And at this point in time, we all know that technology is really very important and very key now. So every job, every aspect or every career has the tech part of it, and education is not left out. So at this point, it's very important that you get those skills, you get those knowledge that can help you to be a problem solver, because we are not just impacting kids to just know math and English and science. No, we're trying to help them and build them to become better citizens in various aspects or various places they find themselves, and to be problem solvers, to be creative. We are preparing them for the society to be better people and to create solutions. So that is why, as educators, we also need to equip ourselves with those skills, because knowing that we are role models to these children, to the students in our classroom. So we have to just get those skills and not just come in and teach math and English, but integrate these skills in every aspect of your teaching, so that is what makes you a better educator. So that at the end of the day, these students are holistic. They are not just focused on subject based, but they are focused and but they are created to be good citizens and better citizens of the nation, and to provide the solution needed to make their country move forward. So that is my take on the question that you asked.
Thank you so much. And I'm quickly going to take the question back to Ademi Sola. And this time around, I know that people listening to us will be probably wondering, oh, Ademi Sola is off. Okay, so I'm going to ask Ugochi. Ugochi, please, I'd like you to share with us. I know that you're big on relationships. Ugochi, you're big on relationships. So I'm going to bring the question to, okay, Ademi Sola is back. So I'm going to bring two questions out, one to Ademisola, then one to Ugochi. So we'll start with Ademisola. What resources are available or should be leveraged on for those who are now, embracing this thought pattern of building a future? They're thinking about not just now, they're thinking about a continuous time, a long time span. What are the um, resources required?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. When you are thinking long term, I always say you need time to plan and you need strategy. And all these are not even tools. They have to do with your mindset. I always say an elephant and a chicken do not have the same weight when they are pregnant, as in what they carry is different. So if there is anything I know that is a tool you need to build first, is your mind. If you are playing the long term game. Because especially these days, that phrase, delayed gratification, is very far from many of us. Very far. So people don't know how to play the long term game because their mind is not ready. And This is not like this is not to motivate and all those things. This is just me pointing out the obvious. That say your mind is not ready. Now you must be asking, how do I get my mind ready? I always say it starts first from saying, oh, defining who am I? What do I want to be? As in, what do I want to be remembered for? Ask those questions, provide answers to those questions, and write it out. Don't answer it in your head, because you know why I say write it out? It changes. I remember when I was going to start building iTrain Africa, the first thing I wrote about, the entire this thing was probably as the first one, probably in my head in 2019. But it just keeps changing. Then I think that was 2017. I think sometime in 2019, I started compiling a document from name. Today I'll think of one name, I'll write it down. Like the whole idea, the problem I wanted to solve was even already sorted in my mind, maybe 2 years before that. But I started to write small from August. Name, I'll write name today. The goal, I'll write it tomorrow. It took me maybe from say August to April of the following year, right? Because what? I was not trying to compete with anybody. I was getting my mind ready, reshaping all the things I wanted to achieve. Short-term goals, medium-term goals. This is my mission. This is how I want to achieve it. Writing it in bit. In fact, the name was even probably, the name came later, because I always say name can change. Your goals, what you want to achieve is a main focus. So I was getting ready my mind. I was expanding my mind. When I did a business plan, this thing, like I always say, like if your goal, if what you're trying to achieve is not big enough to scare you, then go and rewrite that vision. It's probably not big enough. Which is why it's called a vision. Something like you can almost not touch. Right? So start training your mind to handle the capacity of what you are preparing yourself for. And it is in maybe even doing little things, as in after you finish writing on that document, because as in you asked me for practical thing, after writing that document, start to live it. Start to think about if you have to pay through your nose to be among people that have that kind of mindset, which is one of the things I did next after starting all those things in August. I went to pay for a course then. I did not even have the money. I always tell people, my sister borrowed me, because I remember it was towards the tail end of that 2019. I was restructuring my first business, my fashion business. So I'd invested all my money in website and all those restructuring and all those stuff, inventory. And so I did not even, I think it's money then was about $800. I did not even have the cash, but I called my sister. I said, see, so I want to buy this knowledge, because my mind did not even carry me to go and say, let me even ask my husband, because I'm sorry, but men are very hard to explain knowledge, as you buy knowledge to with that kind of money. Right? As in, that is just the way it is. So I did not even pass my boundary. I just said, and it was borrowed, but I also ready to start explaining why I needed to pay $800 for knowledge at that time. As in, I'm sure you would have been like, I couldn't see if you don't really have the money for this, and why are you borrowing to buy knowledge? But I knew what I was doing. I got this thing at the end of, because that knowledge was going to go from $800 to $2,000. And I was like, I can't pay that increase. So I had to secure that thing in December. So I had a plan. Now I cleared my entire schedule from March. I didn't clear because I was still at the university. I was still doing my academic stuff and everything. But I created a timetable. You would have, then people used to think I was mad because my timetable was crazy. I didn't have time for anything. Like, it was for me to just do the basic, because so I could take that course for 3 months. So when COVID hit, for me, it was a blessing, because it was time for me I could at least dump the academic side because there was COVID, and focus from April to launch iTrain Africa and gain momentum. Now, imagine someone that is looking at me, then will be, so maybe now somebody will be looking at me and be saying, this babe, how did she look? I am playing a long-term game. I know where I'm going. I have seen course creators, knowledge creators online who do not have a structure in their business. The business was not registered, but they are probably selling courses that are probably 25,000 naira, getting 800 people in a class. When I see those ones, I say, me and you are not running the same race. You are running to fill your pockets with the business. Do you understand? You are not running to build any structure, leave any legacy, or build anything. Do you understand? I'm running a different race. So even if you made 25,000, maybe times 800, like let me say, every month and everything. I was saying it to one of my clients that reached out to me from the UK, as in to work with me earlier in the year. And she said, Darren, this person. I said, leave that person. You're running the same race. You are running a race to fulfill a mission. That person is running a race to fill their stomach. It is a business. For you, I'm running a vision business. Do you understand? We are not, I said, After 2 years, I said, come and bring that person and me together. We won't be in the same place. So you know why? I built my own ground. I dug deep, started building my own ground. So when she realizes that what she's building on is starting to crumble, me, I am accelerating. If you don't build laterally, base your foundation from your mindset to the learnings and everything, you will crumble because you want to run faster than the person that started building maybe 10 years ago. That's my advice.
Thank you so much for that. And I'll welcome Olusola with a question. And the question I've been asked is, when we think about the conversation of today, a lot of people are always stuck in between two opinions. One is, well, it makes sense, but does it make cash? Because a lot of people are very income conscious. So how do we deal with the difference, making a future, building a future over not just a career, especially with the answer to the dynamics of resources or finance? Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Rochimi. Good morning, Dr. Deering. Good morning. Thank you for that
Good morning, sir. Good morning,
very
sir.
succinct explanation. And I think it speaks a whole lot to everyone on the need to take root down first before we think of bearing fruit upward. Because of the days ahead, the storms ahead, the challenges ahead, in order to withstand it. Now, coming back to Rotimi's question, I think we should also clear it that planning for the future does not mean we have to destroy today. It takes living to get to the future. So you've got to find a means of sustenance for the present day while you keep working towards your future. However, if we allow the satisfaction of today to be cloud where we go in the future, is also going to be disastrous. And as I will always say, little things impresses little minds. And there are people who chose to leave what they are doing now to go and start afresh somewhere, not because it was convenient, because they saw what lies ahead. Where they were, probably they were convenient at that material time, but they also realized that they are made for more. They are made to affect themselves, affect a lot of people around them, affect the generation coming. When they are taking that step, people will see them as being foolish. And that's why I will always say, don't listen to too many noise. Know what you are called to do. Face it with your chest. Yeah, the consequences will be there. And stand by it, and you need the tenacity, you need all the courage it requires to go ahead. So we shouldn't sacrifice tomorrow on the altar of today. It will be disastrous. And in business, in our personal life, in our family life, of course, family is a form of career or future. But you also look at the dynamics of things around you, the support system you have, the luxury of time and resources you have got, that could also come to play. Not because some people don't want to plan the future. Yes, they want to, but they appear to be stuck for now. They don't really see. They don't have that luxury of resources in order to bolt out and go and do some other things. So I will advise, while you sustain your living, your life today, so that you don't die, think futuristic, and you take decision in alignment with that future. Take, for example, maybe somebody quits a bank job. He feels, I want to be an entrepreneur. At the beginning, he may not earn the salary he was earning in the bank, but he see, or you could foresee if I start this way, yes, I will go through challenges, but in the next 5, 10 years, I'll also be an employer of labor. It calls for courage and grit. Some of his friends who felt, you are earning $500,000, you want to go and start where nobody will pay you a dime? Oh boy, are you serious? In 10 years' time, those Ismail will still be in the employment, nearing retirement. He begins to go on the ascendancy, becomes an employer of labor. If care is not taken, some of his colleagues will come back to be his employee. But he had to pay the price. Nothing good comes easy. If you don't have the tenacity, if you don't have staying power, if you cannot weather the storm and suffer now, I tell you, you cannot plan futuristically. If your mouth and your belly serves as your God, you are only concerned about the peppermint you are licking now, and you are not ready to sacrifice and say, okay, let me deny myself, let me suffer hunger a little, let me suffer isolation a little. Hear what Dr. Derin was saying. Having to go and buy a course. She could have said, well, after all, 30 days make a month, my paycheck will come in from where I'm working. Go and check of all the employee, academic employee, maybe that you will be in the 1% who have taken such decision. And by the time people are hitting 55, 60, they are afraid of retirement. Meanwhile, she has created a process. Whether she works or she doesn't work, something is running. It was because she paid the price. And take it from me, Rotimi. If you see anybody who has a future to go, it was because they sacrificed something yesterday, so that today and tomorrow can be better. So my encouragement to myself and to everybody listening to me, and also to educators. Do you know at times you may have to leave where you are earning 10 naira to go to where you will earn 5 naira because you want to learn something from the place you will earn 5 naira, because you need more time where you are earning 5 naira, so that you can launch better for the future. Well, it's more or less on a scale of preference. Everybody will not listen to this narrative, Rotimi. Let's sing it from today till tomorrow. There are people who are prodigal. And prodigality, well, maybe it's relative. Some people say it's not to. Go and check anybody who makes it to the future. They are very frugal. They are frugal, not because they don't like good things. They felt, let me sacrifice now, then tomorrow when the thing comes, I'll be able to live more comfortable, then enjoy my life. That's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me welcome KK. KK, good morning. Welcome. KK, are you there? Okay, so while we wait for KK's response, if you're good morning, welcome. If you're, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Olushola. Good morning, Light.
Happy New Year.
Good morning, good morning, Darren and Mr. AK. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Rotimi.
Fantastic. So let me direct the question to Ifyok. So we're talking about building a future, not just a career. So I'm asking the question, where does relationship come into this? How do we leverage and harness relationships? So that, over to you.
Okay, thank you for that question, Mr. Rotimi. So I want to see it like I'm visualizing a ladder, okay, and you are where you are now. However, it's the different rungs of the ladder that will get you to where you want to be. So let's say that you have taken the steps you need to take, you have planned out your legacy, you have your plan for the future, you have everything out. You need people to get to where you want to get to. And so it's the quality of relationships that you have that would determine the strength of the ladder, because it's the connections we're looking at now. So those connections are the ones that keep you in check. They give you, they give you the encouragement you need. Sorry for all the background noise around me. They give you all the encouragement you need. They are out there to point you in the right direction or to keep you on track. And so I'll just focus on the quality of relationships, because if you do not have relationships that will feed you, they'll rather take from you, and that will affect the strength and the ties that the ladder is able to hold for you to get to where you need to go. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's yep.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So if Keke can hear me now, I'd like Keke to
Yep.
speak to the topic. We're talking about building a future, not just a career. And from your experience, Keke, what would you consider as a critical success factor for those who are trying to build or who should build a future, not just a career?
I think I heard the gist. Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So I can barely hear anybody, but I'm just going to assume that Rotimi was saying, speaking to the topic of the conversation today, how do we build not just a career, but a future? And the first thing that I would say is to applaud everybody that has spoken whilst I've been here, because the reality is, you need to first of all know where it is that you're going. You know where you are right now, like assist, but where do you want to be? So you need to be, I mean, we really might not have a clear picture because things keep changing. We get to another level and then we realize, oh, what I thought I wanted is a little different. So it will keep changing, but we need to at least know where we are. That's at least our start point, and then know where it is that we want to go. Who are the people that we need to connect with along the way? And what are the skill sets that we need to have that takes us to where it is that we're going from where it is that we are. The reality is every level that we get to will require a different set of skills from us, a different set of thinking patterns, a different everything, right? So it means that we need to constantly build ourselves. We need to constantly stretch. So we need to say to ourselves, what do I need to get to where I'm going? And then be very active in building that and connecting with the people. I was saying that during COVID, I mean, I didn't know COVID was going to happen, but I set a target for myself in 2019, and I said to myself, oh, you know what? I want to be more visible in the public sector. I just said it like that, plus a few other goals, educational advocacy, a lot more training, and, just set it for myself, right? And something I identified was there are certain people I said to myself, whom I need to connect more deeply with these people. And I just said that, and I left it like that. But then, because I had spoken it, once I got into spaces where I could make a difference, I would say something, right? So that I become more visible to those people. I would contribute, I would volunteer. Why? Because I knew where I wanted to go. And so I could very intentionally take the steps to get there. Was it always easy? Of course not. Did it require a lot more time than I thought that I had? Yes. So it meant that I had to work much more than I typically would. It also meant that even though COVID was happened in 2019, right, and everywhere shut down, but I think that's the year I've witnessed the most growth prior to that particular year. And even though technically or realities, I should not have, because we're all in the house, but I did. There was so much virtual things that I was able to do virtually. There were so many connections that I made. I mean, until now I can still see the impact that 2019 made because I was just intentional with my goals that year, right? And I had set those goals in 2018. Somebody called me to come and do a vision board session for them. I typically do it for myself and within my team, but then I did it to a larger audience, and those were some of the things that I set up in that training. So we really do need to know where it is that we're going, and not just be thinking like Olushola said about the sweets, the peppermints that we're going to just have today, and forget the fact that you can achieve the packet tomorrow, right? So we need to always think like that and not just think short term, but think long term. Is it difficult sometimes to see long term? Yes, it is, because sometimes we really just don't know. But we have to keep pushing. We have to keep trying. We have to keep connecting with those people that we know will take us to where it is. I mean, for the first time as well, I got a coach in 2019. I said, you know what? I need this person, right? Because I could recognize the fact that some of the things I wanted to do, I needed help organizing my skill set because I have to be honest, a huge portfolio of skills, but I needed help organizing it and just being able to streamline my thoughts appropriately, right? So, what is it that you need? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to go the extra mile. Don't be afraid to break out of the comforts where you currently are, because you're not just looking at your career, right? You're looking at your future, right? And the career is just a very small part of that future. Back to you, Mr. Rotimi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I like the fact that you said the career is just a small part of the future, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay, so I'm going to ask Light to just give us parting shots on the subject matter of the day. Then I move to Ademisola. Then I come to Ifyo Olushola. Then I'll end back with KK. Light, over to you. Light, are you there? Okay, Ademisola, can you take over?
Yes, please. So here will be my parting shots. I would say, do not be afraid to plan long term, and do not live a life of comparison. When you are building the future, remember, it is your future. It is yours. So, and they don't catch late comer. They don't catch late comer there. So if you need 1 year to build your what people will not see, please be doing it. When people are asking, what are you doing? What are you doing? All your mate have this thing. Just smile, because you know why? I always say that my smile is always inside, because I am so sure of what is inside of me that I am doing. That when I arrive, you know that when I land softly, I will show. Not that I want to show for you, just so that after I show for you, you say, hey, you hear me, and what next? When within me, I know I did not do it. So please, do not live a life of comparison. Be very, very, as in, know what you are doing and stick to it. Focus on your focus, please.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I guess I'm the one to go. All right. For me, I'll just say that legacy is not something that one stumbles upon. And so, being intentional and taking the everyday steps that we need to take, nobody will do it for us. It's something that we have to sacrifice to do for ourselves. Gather around the people that you love, gather around the people that love you, and look at the values you're building, or look at the skill sets that you have and how you can put everything and weave everything in together to help you build that legacy. We are the only ones who can put it together, and that's what's going to make it unique to us. So that's what I'm going to say. Making sure that we are intentional about this, building this legacy, and then it's going to work out for us.
Thank you very much, Olushola.
Thank you, Rotimi. What I would just say is that visualize the future you are going. At the same time, allow for flexibility, just like Darren Sekeke said. As we evolve, things changes. Our dream grows bigger, and we meet new people. New thing comes into our life. So please be intentional as you are futuristic. Also be flexible as things changes. Accommodate those changes. However, know that your future is bigger than whatever career you may be doing now. And as you lump your career, see it as a subset of the bigger picture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And this is where we'll draw the curtains on the conversation today. We'll be here tomorrow as well. So thank you very much. And at the count of two, we'll say our goodbyes. 1, 2, go.
It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
Bye.